Welcome back, everybody, to Ahead of the Chains. Today, me and Patrick have what is potentially, probably, our final mock draft before the NFL draft. Next Thursday is the draft officially. We will be live streaming that, so make sure to stay tuned. But you guys, this is a big draft for us because me and him together decided to collaborate on these picks and agree. We have trades. Like, this is our most prepared mock draft that we have. But before we get into it, Patrick, how are you doing today, my friend?
Prepared's a pretty loose term with
Yes.
us too, isn't it?
You know?
I am feeling good. It is nice in Poughkeepsie. The weather's getting pretty nice,
Yes.
so I can't really complain. But I mean, we went through like a solid 2 hour texting match
We did.
to get this
We did.
ready,
Yeah.
and even then, I still have so many questions.
And for those of you who
I
have
can't
watched the
lie.
show, you know we love to disagree. So there
Oh, of
was,
course, and we still will.
we still will.
And
Even
there
this,
were
this is a collaborative mock, but there's still like we had to just pick our
yeah.
battles each.
There
each
were
pick.
a few times where it was like, all right, we'll do that. Like, fine. I guess someone does have to get Caden Proctor on their football team.
I was about to say there was
Let him
and I wasn't going to say what player, but you spoiled it. There was a player where
Yeah,
you
of
quoted
course
as
it's
saying
him.
like, "I don't think this guy can play professional football," and that was the quote that you sent me because I was like, "Man, I think Proctor's the pick here for whatever team it is," and you're like, "I don't think this guy can play professional football." So that should show you the level of agreement we really have on this mock. But we did the best we could on our collaboration, I guess.
Yeah, how have you been though? I mean, I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna act like I care about Midwestern weather, so I'm not gonna act how it is in
80
Illinois.
degrees today. It was nice.
All right. You know what?
And because the
I'm
weather's getting
hyped for
nicer,
you.
actually.
I'm hyped for you.
The,
You and your Jagoffs.
Thank
as
you,
refer
thank
to
you. Yeah, we're
them.
doing great over here in Illinois. But because the weather's getting nicer, I actually joined an adult men's softball league, and safe to say, Unk still got it, man. My whole body hurts. I took like 20 minutes of
So
batting
you don't got
practice.
it.
I was taking some ground balls. I was slick out there, obviously, but man, am I hurting? And we got another practice coming up, so it was rough. But
What's the
yeah.
batting average gonna look like? Give us
Oh,
a
dude,
hard
for
read.
me, I'm batting at least 500. Like, I'm
Oh,
batting at least
really?
500. Yeah.
Well,
I
guess
need
it's
to like
softball,
stop
right?
duck because it's the slow pitch softball. So they like throw it 10 feet in the air and then it like drops like
Oh,
a
easy.
Clayton Kershaw curveball. So
Dinger.
I have to stop like dipping my shoulder and like swing it up. If I could just keep it level, then there's not a car windshield in the tri-state area that's safe from my home runs. Do you
All
guys
right.
say tri-state area by you guys? Is that another Midwest thing?
No, no. It's like we know what the tri-state area is, but no one like refers to it as the tri-state area. Or at
Me and
least,
Dr. Doofenshmirtz,
maybe
man.
I'm just a youngin, so I don't say it. But
You ever watch Phineas and Ferb?
well, that was my first thought when you said
Okay,
it.
okay, cool.
That was my first thought. The age difference exists, but it's not
Yeah.
that large.
Dr.
We
Dr.
know
Doof
about
made it legit, but enough about my athletic prowess. I'll maybe lob some highlights when the games officially start on our page. So if you guys just get flooded with adult league softball highlights, you're like, what is going on? It's me. But we got a mock draft to get into, and we're gonna start with pick number 1. And me and Patrick, we tried very hard throughout this entire mock to think about what each team is gonna do, what's their mindset, what's their what are their potential pathways. If this guy gets taken, this guy trades everything. Fernando Mendoza. He's been the pick.
It's a
He
lot.
will be the pick. He's been the first overall pick since what, October? We've talked plenty about Fernando Mendoza on this channel. I have my opinions. You have your opinions. Neither of us, though, would disagree that Fernando Mendoza is going to be a Raider come Thursday next week. Probably has already bought a house in Las Vegas. Probably has already gone to several of the casinos in Las Vegas. Although knowing him, he's probably setting up shop at the LinkedIn HQ over there. But Fernando Mendoza is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders #1 overall pick. I don't think the draft doesn't really get interesting at pick 1. We all know who's going #1.
Yeah. You think he met Tom Brady yet? Like spoke to him at all yet?
Yes, Tom Brady was at the national championship game. Remember that with Mark Davis?
Okay. Do you think
They
he
were,
spoke to him like
yeah.
Raiders business yet?
Oh, I
Guess
mean,
more
like
in my-
Brady was at the national championship game, and Fernando could have thrown like 7 interceptions in that game. He'd still be the first overall pick. So I'm sure Tom Brady was giving him the old, "Go have fun out there, pal. I'll see you in April." Like that's probably the speech that Brady gave him. But yeah, no, he's definitely met Brady. I'm sure he's
Yeah,
met.
I mean-
I'm sure he's met Kubiak as well. I'm sure they're real
Oh, they
close.
definitely have. They've definitely Kubiak and their scouting department definitely
Yeah.
spoke to him at the combine. I mean,
Oh yeah, 100%.
like he showed up for a reason, If he wasn't throwing or any of that, like there's a
He's trying
reason
to get some more
he went
LinkedIn
there.
connections. Is really why he showed up. But
Maybe
meeting
that could be
Kubiak
what
was
it's
a
about.
plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be what it's about. But
Yeah.
yeah, Raiders Mendoza. It's kind of like it's an easy one. There's a
Yep.
reason we've all been talking about it the way we have.
Yep.
The Raiders need a quarterback, and this draft class doesn't really have many great quarterbacks. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Sorry.
It seems like a good fit in the Clint Kubiak offense. You know, a lot of okay outside the numbers throws. Right, he could throw over the middle. Is that something we've seen him do a lot? No, but we know that Mendoza can throw that ball down the sideline, and that's something we see Kubiak incorporate a lot.
Yeah.
Right, I don't really doubt a lot about Mendoza's game. Maybe you kind of say, okay, he doesn't have a crazy arm, but I think this Raiders offense is more about timing and ball placement than it is about okay, show off your arm, fit it through the tight window. I think it's a good scheme fit here.
I will
I
say
think
there were a lot more than I think a lot of people expected last year. Sam Darnold like rolling out to his left, whipping the body around boots where they were throwing it deep and throwing it off platform, and I think he can do that. But like you said, the arm is maybe the not an A+ attribute of his. But regardless of my personal opinion of Fernando Mendoza, I've said this before, and this sounds like a backhanded compliment. I think there's a very, very, very low chance that he straight up just sucks. Like I think that that is out of the question. I think
yeah,
how
I'm with
good
you.
he is, that's up for debate. But I think that like the Raiders are almost as safe as a first overall pick can be. But I think, and we kind of both agree with this, the draft gets really interesting at pick 2 because not only do you have the New York Jets, who are notoriously, how do I say,
Bad, terrible,
bad,
awful.
inept, disgusting, disgrace to football at picking players. But they're in a spot right now where they have kind of an interesting question to ask themselves. Do they want to go with a guy in, David Bailey, who's probably more pro ready, has more experience playing edge rusher, or who led the nation in sacks, or a guy in Arvell Reese, who, if you look at the ceiling, you're talking about this guy being potentially a top 5 pass rusher in the game. So do they want to weigh that risk? Do they want to weigh the reward? We both kind of unanimously agreed and have agreed that they're going to take Arvell Reese. It just makes the most sense in our opinion. We both love Arvell Reese as our edge number 1. And again, you can say whatever you want about his inexperience and his maybe he plays linebacker or whatever. But if we're talking about pure ceiling, this guy has it. He is like he's like insanely strong. Like it is unfathomable how strong he is. And we've seen that power has been a huge, huge indicator of success when it comes to pass rushers the last few years in the NFL. The Jets, I don't know that they could mess this one up. I think Arvell Reese is the pick, although I do think that David Bailey is probably creeping into their minds. But we both agree that Arvell Reese is the pick here for the Jets.
We both kind of discussed, hey, maybe we take Bailey in this one because the other two mock drafts we did, we had them go with Arvell Reese. So were we going to mix it up this time? We chose not to because the recent rumors have connected Reese as the pick. I think they're definitely going edge. They trade away Jermaine Johnson. They have to go with an edge rusher. They trade him away for Devondre Sweat. So now you have interior help. You still need that edge rusher, though. You have Will Johnson on one side. Now you got to get a true one edge rusher. I do think that Aaron Glenn is more about defending the run with his defensive front, and David Bailey doesn't really do that. That's what I think this one comes down to. So Arvell Reese, I'm with you. That's my pick for the New York Jets, and I think it's the right pick.
Yeah. We both feel pretty strongly about Arvell Reese going to New York, but I think pick 3 is where the draft gets really mysterious because there's a lot of different directions that the Arizona Cardinals could go. We talked about, hey, do they go David Bailey? Do they go Jeremiah Love? Do they trade down? Ultimately, though, we ended up going with Sonny Styles, the Ohio State linebacker, to Arizona. This is a guy you can argue one of the better linebacker prospects in recent memory. Absolutely obliterated the combine, was phenomenal at Ohio State. Spoiler alert, there's going to be quite a few Ohio State guys on this list in case you haven't been paying attention. But this is a pick for Arizona. Again, I talked about it like with Fernando, where I feel like this is pretty much, and nobody's bust proof. I think you're getting as good of a bet as there is in terms of Sonny Styles. And people will say, well, they're not going to take Sonny Styles because they went with Isaiah Simmons and Isaiah Simmons didn't work out. And that's true. but they're drastically different players. Isaiah Simmons was like the guy with no position. He played every position, which ultimately meant he played none of the positions. And that's a very different player than what Sonny Styles is. Sonny Styles is a true linebacker. He can shed blocks. He can fill the run. He can cover receiver sideline to sideline. This is a drastically different and drastically better linebacker than Isaiah Simmons was out of college, and a more athletic one. So this is a pick that you would feel really good about if you're the Cardinals. Again, they can go multiple directions. We talked about them doing multiple different things, but without a clear superstar tackle or superstar quarterback, trading down from 3 might not net them the capital that they really want. And why would you pass up on a guy like Sonny Styles? That was kind of our thought with this one.
Yeah, and this class is weird because all the best players seem to be playing those kind of not so valuable positions. Off ball linebacker, Sonny Styles, right? Caleb Downs is a safety. Then we have Jeremiah Love, a running back. Like those are the 3 guys that if you ignore position value, like they're the best relative to the NFL players playing their position currently. And none of them are these hyper valuable positions. None of them are. So I think for the Cardinals to get the most bang for their buck, they have to go with one of those guys. Now, yeah, you still will be lacking on the offensive line. You're still not going to have a good quarterback, but you get a building block here. And the type of defensive player that, even though he is an edge rusher, he can turn everything around for you. And let's not act like this defense has been horrible recently. They haven't been very good, but you've had a nice infrastructure that has kept you floating around like the mediocre tier of NFL defenses, maybe a little bit below average. Now you get this guy who, even though he isn't an edge rusher, like I said, he is an elite player relative to his position, or at least that's what you're expecting to get when you drafted a linebacker in number 3. And that might be what it takes to really allow your defense to take that jump. Then all of a sudden you find yourself just a quarterback away, right? A quarterback, and you got to build up the offensive line a little bit. You feel like you're in a pretty good spot at that point. I think as long as they go with either Love or Downs, or in this case, Sonny Styles, you feel pretty good. Not great, because there still are huge holes, but you add a very good player to this lineup.
Yeah, it's kind of rare that you would say go BPA with a team with the 3rd overall pick, a team that has made the playoffs in several years. But like you said, given the positional value of the top players in this draft, that's kind of the strategy they have right now. Like, if they love Jeremiah Love, they might go Jeremiah Love. If they love Sonny Styles, they'll go Sonny Styles. So I know it's rare with a team with this many holes and a team with, this lack of success in several years to say, take the best player available at 3. Like, yeah, you should. You know what I mean? Like, throw positional value out the window. Take the off-ball linebacker. Speaking of great players in this draft who play a not valuable position, Tennessee Titans are up at number 4. We had them taking Jeremiah Love.
Keep in mind, this is a predictive mock. This is not us trying to say what we would do. This is a predictive mock. If I'm the Tennessee Titans, I don't want anything to do with a running back right here. Your offense is missing a lot. But I think Brian Daboll is the type of guy, he didn't want to get rid of Saquon, right? That was John Mara's call. He really liked having Saquon Barkley around. It did him a lot of favors. And I think Jeremiah Love, he could create the illusion for himself and kind of gaslight himself. Jeremiah Love will help Cam Ward develop. Jeremiah Love is a very good player, but there's a lot of other issues on this football team, and Jeremiah Love won't really do too much for you considering the infrastructure around him currently. Cam Ward is not a check down guy. I don't expect him to become a check down guy. So the entire, a nice safety blanket idea, I am not on board with it. Again, I think Jeremiah Love's a very good football player. I don't really love the pick, but this is the pick that we expect them to make because they haven't added to the running back position, like you were saying right there. I mean, the running back position is so weak for this team, and they didn't even try and add a guy. So I think they kind of tip their hand as to who they're going to take. But Mike, I know I cut you off, so go ahead and continue with your.
No,
I just need to clarify that.
I'm going to add on to this because I think another one of the clues, you talked about the Titans not pursuing somebody in free agency. Well, the other 2 teams in the top 10 that we think could take him, the Saints and the Chiefs, went out and they did get a running back. So that tells me that they think that Jeremiah Love is not going to be on the board when they are up to bat, meaning he's going to go either to number 4 to the Titans or number 5 to the New York Giants, in which we have taking Caleb Downs from Ohio State. If you're sick of Ohio State players, I'm sorry. This is going to be a long video for you. John Harbaugh and the Giants, they're going to get themselves a really blue chip player here with Caleb Downs. We talked about him as being one of the best players in this draft. For my money, he might be the best player in this draft. I love Caleb Downs. I think he's awesome. Now, again, the two things working against him are his position and the fact that he didn't test like a superhuman athlete, which every other player at Ohio State did. Let me be perfectly clear when I say this. I could not care less what Caleb Downs did at the combine. I could not care less. If Caleb Downs ran a 7-second 40-yard dash, I'd still take him top 5 overall. I do not care. Caleb Downs, when you watch the film at Ohio State, is such a difference maker. His skill set is something that is going to translate to the NFL. I have no doubt about that. Additionally, if we're talking about predictive and the coaches and their experiences and whatever, John Harbaugh's coming from Baltimore, where he had Kyle Hamilton for years, become one of the best defenders in football. This, to me, is a great pick for the Giants. You know, they might be tempted to take Jeremiah Love. They might be tempted to take Sonny Styles. Neither of those guys are on the table. Caleb Downs he's a guy. If I had to put my life's money, which is about $4 total net worth, I would say out of every player in this draft, the person I would bet the least amount of money is a bust is Caleb Downs. Now, of course, I don't know about injuries, whatever. Caleb Downs is just a good football player, point blank, period. The Giants are getting a great guy here at number 5. Don't overthink it because he's a safety, John Harbaugh.
Yeah, and he is going into a defense that's very similar to the defense that Kyle Hamilton looked great in. Now, they are different players, but they're similar in the sense of there is no true position, right? He's listed as a safety, but safeties are used in so many different ways now. He will be down in the box. He will play a little bit of nickel. He will be a high safety at times. He's going to be all over the place. He's going to be playing all different types of coverage. And most importantly, he's going to be the smartest player on the field. And that's what Caleb Downs' true advantage is. It was the same way in college. He is going from a very advanced relative to most college units defense where he was the blue chip guy. He's smart. He knows how to call the shots. And you could tell on tape. He always knew where he had to be. This guy really knows how to study film. You could tell. He kind of has like the Luke Kuechly effect where he's so good at studying film and knowing the opposing offense that it pops out on the screen. And a big thing, like I said, is Denard Wilson. This defense is going to be operating the same way Mike McDonald's defense operated with Kyle Hamilton. They're going to use this guy in so many different ways. I love the idea of Caleb Downs being a New York Giant right there. But at number 6, we have the first trade of our mock draft. The Cleveland Browns, we think, they're eyeing tackle, right? For the Browns, let's start with their perspective because they're the team that originally had the pick. They're eyeing tackle. We thought Monroe Freeling. We also saw, a guy named David Bailey starting to fall down the board a little bit. Could see a team maybe being active, trying to make a move. We look down the board. Yeah, the Commanders might. But I think the Commanders are fine staying at 7. They think they'll be able to get him. But then, ring, ring, the Chiefs calling in. We have the Chiefs trading up from pick 9 to pick 6. Chiefs get pick 6 and pick 107. Browns get pick 9 and pick 40. According to a draft value chart I looked at, that is a fair trade. Am I 100% on board with that? Do I think the Chiefs would maybe have to give up a little bit more than that? Yeah, probably. But whatever. The value chart said it. Take up the issues with Pro Football Reference. I just listened to what they said.
I think what we could add to this trade is maybe a 15-minute FaceTime call with Patrick Mahomes. That might put the trade over the edge, is to sell out a 15-minute FaceTime call. But no, I mean, we really wanted to think about critically what trade scenarios could happen. And a guy like David Bailey falling to the 6th overall pick or outside the top 5 is a scenario where the Browns' phones would be ringing off the charts. Andrew Berry would be picking up the phone and listening to offers for sure. And the reason we picked the Chiefs of all teams is, A, they're within that striking distance because it's really hard to trade up from like pick 15 to 6. Like you're giving up a bounty full of picks. And again, without like a true blue chip player, that's a little bit harder to stomach. But the Chiefs trade up 3 picks. I told Patrick this, and we were deliberating about this for a while. And my main reasoning for like giving this the green light was like, A, they're the Chiefs. They're not going to be down for long. B, I think that they're never going to pick this high again, so might as well maximize what they're able to do by getting a potentially, game-wrecking edge defender, which they've tried in the past. And George Karlaftis was all right for a little bit and kind of has fell off. And Felix Andubuike was not the best. And
They
they've really,
drafted him, and he never was what they
yeah,
wanted him to be.
they've been looking for that like dominant edge presence. And when in the Patrick Mahomes era are they going to be picking top 10 ever again? Probably not, right? Probably not. This is a once in a career thing for the Patrick Mahomes led Chiefs. By trading up 3 spots, they're being a little bit aggressive. They don't have to give up pick 29, which originally was my like, all right, they'll give up 9 and 29 to go to 6. They give up a high second round pick to move up 3 spots to get David Bailey, arguably the best pass rusher in the draft, but undoubtedly the most productive pass rusher in the draft last season, led the nation in sacks. This to me is a team that would definitely be aggressive and make a move for David Bailey. So the Chiefs.
I'm a little bit cautious to say that they make the trade up, just because if we're doing the devil's advocate, which this is what I vocalize when we're texting each other. I was a little bit concerned about like, hey, this is a guy who, you know, like, is he good? Like, do we expect him to be very good? Most people expect him to be a very good player, but he isn't this absurdly well-rounded guy. And the Chiefs, they draft well, even with the later picks. And they're in a weird retooling period where, you know, they need a lot of positions. Maybe having more capital is a big advantage. But if they're big on David Bailey and think he's everything that Felix Anudike-Uzomah wasn't, because they are a little bit similar, then they probably go ahead and make this move. Even though he doesn't strike me as the biggest Spagnuolo guy. Again, they took Uzomah, who's similar. So we will see if he falls that far. Someone's going to trade up. Why not the Chiefs? Just throw that out there. So pick 6.
Yeah,
Chiefs.
Pick 6 for the Chiefs. Then we go to pick 7, and this is another pick that we talked about a little bit because a couple of days ago I thought this would have been a slam dunk. The Washington Commanders taking Ruben Bain, and it got a little bit muddy with the report, obviously, that came out a couple of days ago that he was involved in a car accident. So that's really unfortunate. But then it came out that, hey, teams have like known about this, and like a lot of teams have like already done their like, you know, double checking on this and like their protocol. So very weird that it came out 10 days before the draft. Like that just seems super odd to me. But that aside, knowing that, I know Brad Holmes made a comment about it that they've doesn't change things, like they've known about this. So we kind of thought like, hey, maybe this doesn't change his draft stock. Maybe teams, you know, are comfortable with this situation. So we did have the Washington Commanders taking Ruben Bain from University of Miami. This is a guy I love how he looks on tape. His motor's relentless. He was absolutely the heart and soul, I think, of that Miami defense that went all the way to the national championship game, and honestly should have won the national championship game if they didn't have a punt blocked in their end zone, but that's besides the point. Ruben Bain, I think, is a fantastic player. Is he, again, now a little bit more of a red flag with this incident? Yes, this is kind of maybe a Jalen Carter situation like that happened a couple years ago.
Jalen Carter ended up being a great player. So
Jalen Carter ended up being a great player. There you go.
I'm sorry to break it to you, but they'll act like they care. Teams don't really care that much about these incidents. I'm sorry. It sucks that players do this and they don't really get punished for it. But, like, how many players now have we seen do stupid stuff off the field? There's still great football players.
Every player from the University of Georgia.
Exactly. And there's a lot of great players.
And there's a lot of great Bulldogs in the NFL. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I think especially a guy like Dan Quinn, he coached that Seattle dude. How many guys on that Seahawks defense?
The Sea Thugs, bro. They call them the Sea Thugs for a while. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I'm sorry, but Ruben Bain's a very good football player. I don't think Dan Quinn is going to be scared off because of a really bad off-the-field incident, but still, it's off the field.
Worth noting, did happen multiple years ago. Worth noting for those who don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I could have my personal opinions, but you're right. Teams do not care. If you're a good football player,
exactly,
they will take you.
And the Commanders need an edge.
They do. And they signed Odafe Owe in free agency for $100 million. They probably need more than one edge.
That's it. Like,
they probably need to add to that repertoire a little bit more. And then at pick 8, the New Orleans Saints, we had them taking Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Hey, the last time they took an Ohio State wide receiver, worked out pretty good. Chris Olave is a damn good player. Speaking of Chris Olave, though, I think Carnell Tate pairs very well with the offense that they want to run with Chris Olave. Like, they're not similar stylistically. They have different skill sets. Obviously, Chris Olave is a fantastic receiver in his own right. Carnell Tate gives you more of that big body, go up and get it type of receiver. He's bigger. He's probably not as good of a route runner, which again is one of the strengths of Chris Olave's game. But clearly the Saints love Tyler Shuck. Like this is like they've made no mystery about the fact that they love Tyler Shuck. Why not get him a weapon? Why not get him a guy who is on a lot of people's boards wide receiver 1 in this draft? And again, I made an amendment to my list. So if you watch our wide receiver video, I had Mekhi Lemon. We went on with the beat reporter of the Columbus Dispatch, and now Carnell Tate's my wide receiver 1. So that helped me with our pick here for the Saints at 8. Carnell Tate going to New Orleans to join his brother in Ohio State. Or I don't even know. Alumni in Ohio State is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
But Carnell Tate's going to be a Saint, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just look at, Kellen Moore. Look at Philly. A.J. Brown was the big, hulking possession guy. And then Devonta Smith was the nuanced route runner. You just need to complement the two of them. Kellen Moore loved it, did great things with Philly. Now he's going to do great things with the Saints using a similar approach. Some guys like to just have a bunch of one type of receiver. Look at Kyle Shanahan and how he is with the nuanced route runners. Other guys want to be more balanced. Carnell Tate and Chris Olave complement each other very well. I'm with you on that.
All right, so then moving on to pick number 9, like we said earlier, we did have the Browns trading down with the Kansas City Chiefs. So at pick 9, we had the Browns taking Monroe Freeling, the tackle out of Georgia. Obviously, trading down and still getting a premier offensive tackle in this draft, that would be a win for Cleveland. That would be a win. I do think they need to trade down and accumulate more assets. But Patrick's absolutely right. They would be looking at tackle. They'll be looking at tackle at 6, at 9, and at pick 190. Like whatever they have in the draft, they'll be looking at tackle throughout the entire draft. Their entire offensive line was free agent this summer. It was quite devastating.
They did add guys.
They added a couple guys of free agency.
They did add guys.
Zion
There's
Johnson
still more
is
work to do.
Zion Johnson is definitely a guy who plays football. I'll say that.
Probably the most overpaid player that plays football.
Yeah, so like I said, they definitely signed players. That's my comment on that. Players were signed. I think now talent needs to be acquired is the word I'm looking for. So Monroe Freeling, again, you can have your pick on which tackle is your favorite in this draft.
There's think a couple of guys. If you're looking at Monken, man.
Yeah, but if you're looking at Monken,
has a type.
Yeah.
And it's these big guys that move in space, right? He loves to deploy guys like Ronnie Stanley. I mean, look at what he did with him as a move blocker. Very big body, but he's going to get him out in space, and he's going to be knocking down these corners that have no business taking him on. And Todd Monken, he has like a fetish for it for whatever reason. And that's why I think he wants a guy like Monroe Freeling. I would pretty much lock in that that's his number 1 offensive tackle because he's a big move blocker.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that. He's, I guess you could say he's monking him crazy. So moving on to pick, he wants to exit this podcast right now. Moving on from pick 10, Francis Mauigoa. Did I say that right? Did I finally get it right? Mauigoa. There we go. Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. We actually debated what this pick was going to be, not because we don't think it's obvious, but because we actually thought, hey, is the Bengals front office actually this stupid to pass up potentially the best tackle in this draft falling to pick 10? Like, to see Joe Burrow on the turf 100 times a year every year, are they going to be like, what if we added another wide receiver and they just take like Mekhi Lemon or something? We actually we're debating back and forth like, hey, will the Bengals do something that stupid? But then eventually we were like, and we had to give credit to their 4-person scouting department and just be like, man, they can't not even the Bengals could mess this up. Having this guy fall into their lap at pick 10 would be a dream come true for them. That would be fantastic. And if I was a Bengals fan and this situation unfolded and they didn't take Francis Mauigoa, my shoe would be going through my TV. So I'll let you explain the rest of that, but I don't even think the Bengals are bad enough to mess this up.
Well, again, it's kind of their thing with they like big tackles. Mauigoa is their type. Now, let's say board fell different. Mauigoa went. Monroe Freeling went. And Spencer Fano is the top offensive tackle on the board. I could genuinely see them going Mekhi Lemon. I'm not gonna lie. Just so doing funny.
I don't even disagree. Stupid. That's the bad thing. I don't even disagree with you. It's so sad. I'd be like, Mekhi Lemon.
They have a 4-person scouting department. If that's not dysfunction, I don't know what is.
No, because then they'd say in the press conference, it'd be like, the last time we passed up on a tackle to take a receiver, it was Jamar Chase. That's because it was Jamar effing Chase, okay? You don't get Jamar effing Chase every year.
How many Super Bowls did you win because of him?
Well, to be fair, they've gone farther than the Lions, in fairness. If we're playing devil's advocate, they went farther than the Lions. They went to the Super Bowl in Jamar's rookie year. put my hands in the air. I digress. But no, the Bengals absolutely should take a tackle here. Francis Mauigoa would be a great get for them. At pick 11, this is one that we spent some time on. I won't lie. Miami is very up in the air, in my opinion. We were really trying hard to get a good read on what Miami would do, what they could do. They have a lot of holes. They are honestly, we are starting the March for Arch campaign in Miami. Like this is happening. This is.
What do you mean? They got Malik Will. Hey, legit. Like this sounds like a joke. Don't tap out of the Malik Willis faith yet.
Yeah,
really
you guys
don't.
think he's joking. He's actually being serious. I'm not even tapping out on the Malik Willis.
Dead serious.
I'm not tapping out on the Malik Willis experience. I'm tapping out on the Miami Dolphins 2026. And if they have the first pick next year, what are they gonna say? Oh well, we got Malik Willis.
Jeremiah
we don't need.
Smith would be a hell of a wide receiver. That's all I'm gonna say.
Get out of here. Get out of town. Your Malik Willis is Asian, bro. This is insane. But we're on serious first overall pick watch for the Dolphins next year. But for this year, we need to take somebody who I think fits their timeline, fits what they're going to be moving forward. Not a team, obviously, that's going to be in a contention window these next year or so. We ended up going with Jermon McCoy, the corner out of Tennessee. Dealt with some injury stuff last year, so he is a risk, very similar to what Will Johnson was last year for the Arizona Cardinals, although on a bigger scale, I would say. Listen, this guy is, Patrick, would you say this guy's a top 5 pick if he doesn't get hurt? I mean, this is a guy who they could be getting a massive steal with this guy because of the injury. And again, if you're the Dolphins, you can afford to take a risk like this. Like a team like Kansas City or Cincinnati or one of these other contenders that like need to be good right away, you might not want to take that risk. You might not be as comfortable. If you're the Dolphins, you're like, hey, man, sit out the whole year if you have to. We don't care. Like, we just want you to be the best player you can be. And again, this is a pick that I think could really pay dividends for them, especially a couple years down the line if he gets 100% healthy.
So that was your thought process with this. For me, it was more about I was trying to get a read on John Eric Sullivan, their new GM, right? A guy coming in from Green Bay. So it's his first year as a GM, but he was a part of their decision-making staff the past few years. I looked at the Packers' past few draft classes, and I see they like athletes. They like traits. And they're also willing to ignore the injury histories a little bit. Matthew Golden dealt with some pre-draft injuries. And you look at a guy like Lucas Van Ness, who has a lot more traits than film, right? Jermon McCoy, he has great film, but he also ran a really nice 40 at the pro day. He had a really nice broad jump at his pro day. Like, yeah, he didn't participate in the combine, but this guy did show he has traits, and that is what John Eric Sullivan looks for, I believe. It was between this and Dylan Thieneman for me. It was really just between these two. But what's more high value? Corner. Now, does he have a huge injury history? Yeah. But you're a team with all these flaws. You got to get the high value positions. You are very weak at corner. I think adding McCoy, assuming he ends up being good, let's not forget about how good Will Johnson was coming off of a big injury in his rookie year for the Cardinals. If it could be a situation like that, Jermon McCoy, quickly becomes one of the better corners in football because, oh my God, this guy's film was crazy. I love the guy.
You look at some of the best defenses last year. The Seattle had great corner play. The Texans had great corner play. The Patriots at the tail end of the year had great corner play. Obviously, the Broncos had fantastic corner play with Patrick Surtain. Corners are very essential. And if you have a great one, if you have a really, truly elite one like those teams that I just mentioned, you're putting yourself in a really good spot. So I like McCoy there for Miami. At pick 12.
Here you are talking about them going number 1 overall. BS. Malik Willis and Jermon McCoy would never let that happen.
So at pick number 12, Dallas Cowboys. We went with another corner, Mansour Delane out of LSU. Again, the Cowboys are probably really eyeballing McCoy. And really probably like Jerry Jones is probably saying a lot of expletives with the Texas accent that they weren't able to get him. Although Mansour Delane is a really nice consolation prize. Like there's a real debate on who's the corner 1 in this class. I think they're pretty close.
He's a lot safer.
He's a lot safer, especially given the injury. And again, I do see the Cowboys, and I can't believe I'm about to be nice to the Cowboys, but I can see the Cowboys honestly winning the East this year. I can. And if you want a guy who is going to give you a more impact in year 1, that's probably going to be Mansour Delane. So I like their addition of Christian Parker as their defensive coordinator. Anything is honestly better than Matt Eberflus, so good for them. But their defense last year, their offense was steady, like I don't know, top 5 in the NFL borderline. Like, they were incredible offensively. Their defense was like 30th. So if they could just get that defense to be average, honestly, we could talk about the Cowboys as making a really big improvement. I definitely think they're going defense, and corner makes a lot of sense because they were really bad last year with Bland and Diggs having very disappointing seasons.
Yeah, Delane is just generally a very scheme versatile player who just has such a vast skill set. Like I feel so good about him as a player. He's another guy like it's hard to say anyone's bust proof. And I can't guarantee you this guy will be a star, like how I kind of feel about Caleb Downs. But I would be surprised if Mansour Delane isn't a starter for the next like 5 years. You know, like I think straight from day one to year 5, like this guy at least is a starting caliber football player at the corner spot. I just really like his skill set. Like he has the ability to be this bump and run corner, but he could also be this off man coverage corner. And overall, you just trust him to stay in a receiver's pocket, but you also trust him to play zone coverage and be very instinctive. He just has the entire skill set, and you feel very good about it, while also having the physical upside.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. This was not one of our harder picks. We pretty much agreed. Another pick of ours that was pretty instantaneous was the Rams taking Mekhi Lemon. Obviously, they have pick 13 in the James Pierce trade from the Atlanta Falcons. Fire everybody in the building that made that trade for Atlanta. That's turning out to be quite the disaster. I thought it last year on draft day. I was like, the Rams just robbed them blind. And then now the guy they took with that pick, who had 10.5 sacks, in fairness, is probably going to get suspended. I heard he's going to get suspended like 5 or 6 games. That's the rumor going around because, he tried to beat up a police officer. So the Rams.
He still went round 1, and that's the important thing to keep in mind. This is why Ruben.
Do you remember? Just as a really quick aside, do you remember last year where we were talking about the edge rush in that class, and I was like, man, I love James Pierce. I was like, he does have character issues though, but I think he could be productive. I was 2 for 2. Okay, I really was 2 for 2. He had 10.5 sacks, and then he tried to beat a police officer. So I nailed that one. My rock solid eval there from me, but. The Rams here, they go Mekhi Lemon. There's been a lot of rumblings that they are trying to move off of Devontae Adams, given his age, given his injury history. Now there are some off-the-field issues with Puka Nacua, who obviously it was reported they checked himself into rehab. Obviously, I hope that all goes well, but the Rams probably want a younger insurance policy for one or both of those receivers that I just mentioned. A guy like Mekhi Lemon, I think he's going to be a really great target for a guy like Matthew Stafford because he knows how to get open. And Matthew Stafford is going to find him if he's open. Like, no doubt about that. So this is going to be a good pick for the Rams. A team as good as the Rams to have pick 13 is a luxury of all luxuries. And taking a third wide receiver is a luxury, no doubt. But they really don't have a lot of holes unless you want to count punt returner, which maybe they put him back at punt returner. I'm not sure. But if they're not taking, a kicker or punter or punt returner at 13, they're probably going to go with Mekhi Lemon, who I think solves one of their impending problems. Not necessarily a right now problem, but it's an impending problem for them.
And it becomes a right now problem let me set a picture for you, right? NFC Championship. Rams are playing, I don't know,
Seattle.
Yeah, okay, sure. Seattle.
I just throw it in there, sorry.
Third quarter, halfway through. Rams are down 7. Drive starts. Devontae Adams catches a 7-yard slant. Killed over the middle by Ernest Jones, right? Out for the game. Ankle snaps, something like that. In comes Kunata Mumpfield to be your wide receiver too. Like
who the Seahawks put Nicky Manwari on.
Yeah. Would you rather that?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
exactly.
Oh, Mekhi Lemon, the guy who maybe we haven't seen him that much this year, but when he's coming to the game, he's been very good.
I can see him if he's going to go to the Rams, which I think he will. I think he's going to have a real like Mecca Igbukah type of year where it's like this guy's not catching 7-8 balls every game, but he has a couple games a year where he's like 12 for 200 and 2 tuds. Yeah. And it's just like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, if you start him in fantasy, he's going to have like 40 points, like 3, 5, 8, 35. Like, that's just going to be like the production scale that Mekhi Lemon's going to have. And
also just such a good scheme fit. With a guy like him that's such a nuanced route runner.
Although, who isn't a good scheme fit with Sean McVay? I mean, come on.
Right? No, I'll tell you. I could think of a couple of names. If you give more of a Alec Pierce in a Rams
Yeah,
offense. Yeah,
that's true.
no,
That's true.
I have
That's true.
no interest. I want nuanced route runners. It's the same as Kyle Shanahan. They both love their route running guys.
I would say
That's what it's about.
Shanahan likes his guys a little bigger though, which is I think one key characteristic from his receivers versus the
Like
Rams.
taller or like bulkier?
I would say taller, like
Okay, sure. Like that's
Ayuk,
valid to say.
Jennings. Yeah,
But I mean, you're drafting this guy to play him as like a slot.
yeah,
Well, I say that, but they're also going to lead the league in 13 personnel and 12 personnel again. So
yeah,
maybe not.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
I think.
I still think it's the move. Like,
Or they take
100%.
Kenyon Sadiq and have the most lethal 13 personnel offense you've ever seen. But anyways, speaking of
for it.
really good teams, yeah, right. Speaking of really good teams, the Baltimore Ravens picking at pick 14. We have them taking Vega Ione, the guard from Penn State. Obviously, this is a team that is reeling after the loss of Tyler Linderbaum. Not saying Ione is going to play center. I'm saying that just that interior of their offensive line just got significantly worse this offseason. Bringing a guy in who's going to be a great player for them. I also think with this new regime, right, with Declan Doyle last year was with the Bears. The Bears' offense improved dramatically the year prior. Why? Well, number one, they hired Ben Johnson, and Caleb Williams took a leap. But two, the Bears invested heavily into their interior of their offensive lineman. Jonah Jackson was excellent. Joe Tooney was phenomenal, was the offensive lineman of the year. Those guys, along with Drew Dahlman at center, really gave Chicago a lot of freedom in their play calling, in their down-to-down offense, in Caleb's ability to sit back there and throw from a comfortable pocket. Guard play was essential for the Bears last year. And I can't believe I'm saying that out loud because my entire life, we've just had the most absolute bozos playing back there. But the Bears legitimately had, I would argue, the best guard play in the NFL last year when you take into account the two guards. Coming from Chicago, Declan Doyle, I think, is going to want to carry over that principle in Baltimore. Vega Ione is a phenomenal player. I think he's going to fit well in Baltimore.
Let the record show that he called Kyle Long a bozo. I just need to put
He's
that
the
out
exception. No, stop it right there because I love Kyle Long.
there. I figured you would.
When I was like 9, I wore 75 in my Pee Wee football because of Kyle Long. So Kyle Long, Roberto Garza, you guys are exempt from what I just said, but there's a lot of other names in there. I'm looking at you, Cody Whitehair. I'm looking at you. I'll think of other names as the PTSD kicks in.
Just randomly shout them throughout the episode, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna we're gonna be talking about pick 25, and I'm just gonna be shouting out random guys. So Ricardo Lewis, man, what's going on? Sorry, PTSD's kicking back in.
Yeah. Vega Ione, I listen. You lost Linderbaum. Declan Doyle needs to be strong on the interior offensive line, and I mean, Daniel Falele was really bad last year. He's gone. That means the next guy's going to be even worse. I'm worried. I'm very worried. Get Vega Ione, please. Please. I can't watch Derrick Henry. I know he's a machine, but I can't watch him continue to run into a brick wall. Because I know he can, and I know he could gain yardage in spite of running into a brick wall, but I prefer if he doesn't.
I want to see him though, but I want to see him put the fear of God into a safety at the third level. That's what I want to see with Derrick Henry. So
exactly, and he can't do that if he's getting dirty with the defensive linemen and everything.
No, am I insane, or did Daniel Falele just sign with the Giants?
It's a smokescreen distract you from the fact that they're actually going to draft a guard, hopefully. And if they actually start Daniel Falele. Daniel Falele is Matt Nagy's favorite offensive lineman.
Oh my gosh,
that's his secret weapon.
Matt Nagy. We just talked about Chicago Bears PTSD, man. Don't say Matt Nagy. Pick 15, though, we do have another trade involving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were originally slotted to take this pick. If you're the Buccaneers, again, we've been thinking about teams that make sense to trade down, what they could do capital-wise, what makes sense for their needs, where they can get guys later in the draft. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers trade down with the Minnesota Vikings. And in return, the Vikings
needs to trade up.
Yes, a team that needs to trade up.
I'm so sure this year, with all on the line, I think Kevin O'Connell's quietly on a bit of a hot seat.
I think so too, and I'm glad you said that because I think he is sneaking on the hot seat. I mean, they fired Kwesi, but bro, you're the head coach, you're the offensive-minded guy. The quarterback you picked failed, point blank. Period.
Brutal.
After you went on this whole thing of organizations don't fail quarterbacks don't fail organizations fail quarterbacks. Well, then you failed. Then you failed. You put the blame on yourself. Yep. So we had the Vikings trading up. They're getting pick 15 and pick 155, whereas Tampa is trading down 3 spots to pick 18 and getting pick 82. And with this pick, we have the Vikings.
Gripes go with the calculator value.
Yep, we went with the calculator.
I need to make that clear.
We're not playing bias.
Fan is no, we shouldn't give up that much. No, not our fault. Has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, this
We
is
don't make the rules.
like all great men. We are deflecting blame. Okay, don't blame us. But they're taking Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. This is going to be a fantastic weapon for them in Minnesota. I understand they have T.J. Hawkinson. I don't care. Sorry, T.J. Hawkinson
Well,
truthers. I don't care.
honestly, Hawkinson, when I proposed this idea, it's not about Hawkinson not having a role. It's about what's the new wave. The new wave is 12 personnel, baby. That's what it is. 12 personnel, heavy personnel. Find a way to force defenses into base. You do that by getting the hell out of 11 personnel. They're not as deep at receiver anymore. They lost some guys. All of a sudden, no Jalen Nailor's there. Who's going to be your new is it going to be a third wide receiver? Or is it going to be a second tight end? I think TJ Hawkinson still has a role. I just think Kenyon Sadiq is another weapon for you. 12 personnel. That's the wave, man. That's what these Sean McVay disciples want to start doing. Kevin O'Connell's no exception.
Yeah, and they're pretty well built to run 12 personnel with the two great receivers they have. Well, one great receiver and then another good one in Addison. But like I said, I think that this makes a lot of sense, especially Kyler Murray. He's used to. He had Trey. I almost said Trey Benson. He had Trey McBride in Arizona, who was obviously probably is the best tight end in the NFL right now. You could debate, but he's definitely the most productive. So I think Kyler would welcome the addition of another star tight end. Let's go to pick 16, where the New York Jets are back on the clock thanks to the Indianapolis Colts taking Sauce Gardner from their hands. And I've heard a lot of reports, and I think we've both heard a lot of reports, that they love Omar Cooper, the wide receiver out of Indiana. Now, maybe for my blood, this is a bit rich at pick 16, but they need receiver. They need basically every position, but they need receiver. And again, this seems to be a guy that they are enamored with. Fantastic hands. I think that's going to be one of the things. They struggle with drops my entire lifetime, right? They struggle with drops my entire lifetime, and they weren't able to catch the ball at an effective rate, especially their defense with those 0 interceptions they had last year. I'm going to bring that up every opportunity we talk about the Jets. But Omar Cooper's a player to me that makes sense for the Jets at 16, although they could probably trade down and get him. I do think that if they like their guy, they're going to go get him. Geno Smith, I still believe. And like I said, I still think that he can win the Super Bowl. If Sam Darnold could do it, I think Geno Smith could do it. So getting him a weapon is fine, but we all know that Geno Smith might not be a Jet for multiple years. But Omar Cooper will, and he's going to be a piece to build for the future.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's important to keep in mind, like, the draft is not a perfect science, right? It never goes how we expect it to. And I think a lot of people, they have Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, and Carnell Tate as like the top 3 wide receivers, and those are going to be the first 3 guys to go. Jordan Tyson's still on the board here. Omar Cooper going before him. It's crazy, but that's why it's probably accurate, honestly. Like, that's just how the draft plays out sometimes, man. So, yeah, I'm with you on this one. Omar Cooper, this guy, I love the receiver, and honestly, I think he's worth this type of capital. And I'm not offended by a team like the Jets going ahead and taking their guy over a guy like Jordan Tyson. I like Jordan Tyson a little bit more, but I get wanting to avoid the injury. I could get behind this one.
Moving on to pick 17, we have the Detroit Lions taking Blake Miller. I think that the Lions probably are not huge fans of the way the board fell so far. They're in desperate need of tackle play, in my opinion, with the pseudo retirement / release of Taylor Decker. That was still kind of a weird situation, but they're in a bad spot, I think, right now. Obviously, their other tackle is phenomenal in Penei Sewell, but they need a left tackle badly. We chose Blake Miller out of Clemson for them. There was some debate.
Neither of us chose Blake Miller.
We
were like,
defaulted
they need a
to
tackle.
Blake. Yeah,
they defaulted. Need a tackle. I said Maxi Onachor, right?
I think it's too
you
high
said
for him.
Spencer Fano. Spencer Fano is definitely the best tackle on the board.
Yeah.
Spencer Fano is like the opposite of a Dan Campbell tackle. The opposite. I'm sorry. He's too light, not enough anchor, not enough strength. I just don't see them going with a guy like Spencer Fano. That's why I said Onachor, because he's a big body, very strong guy. Now, he would have to train him to be a little bit more aggressive in his pass rushing stance. Pass protection and everything like that, just because that's how Dan Campbell wants to play football. So we were on 2 different extremes. And we're like, you know what? Let's meet in the middle, Blake Miller. And we both instantly were like, yeah, fine. So yeah, this is us meeting on the middle in this.
The analogy, and I love my analogies. The analogy equivalent to this is like if we were hanging out and we were like, yo, bro, let's go grab dinner. And I was like, man, I really want sushi. And you were like, nah, man, like, I don't want sushi. I want to go get barbecue. And we were like, we can't really agree because it's two ends of the same thing. So we're like, we'll just go grab pizza. Like, that was the meet in the middle, very inoffensive middle ground that we came to was Blake Miller. He is probably the Little Caesars hot and ready version of our debate that we were just having. But at pick 18, excuse me, again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers acquired this pick from the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that they're going to take the guy that they would have taken at 15, which is Akeem Mesidor. We talked about your guy not having a lot of experience. Mesidor has arguably too much. He's 25. Like, this is a player who is kind of he's going to be 30 by the time his rookie contract expires. To me, that's a red flag. But you're getting a guy who is ready to play, ready to go, was phenomenal for Miami last year. And again, I don't think that Akeem Mesidor would make sense for a team like the Jets, like the Cardinals, like the Raiders, a team that's not ready to be in contention window. Tampa, prior to this season, had won the NFC South, 6 seasons in a row? And they were a half game away from winning it. Granted, they went 8-9 and weren't good. They totally fell apart the second half of the year. But this is a team.
Sucked, but they did almost do the thing they tried.
They were. I mean, they still were about a half a game away from winning the NFC South 7 years in a row. So that is worthy of keeping them in the probably going to be playoff contenders tier.
How much longer is the South going to be like that, man?
Baker's due for a new contract again.
Yeah, that's
big.
The big difference between the team right now and what the team was the past few years, the pass rush has been getting gradually worse since their Super Bowl win in 2020. I mean, worse and worse and worse. They've really only been falling off. Love Yaya Diaby. They need another guy on the other side. They do, and they need it bad. Mesidor is a guy I really like, even though he's 25. He has all the pass rush moves in the book, and he fits the scheme. He's a 3-4 guy. I think Todd Bowles will love a player like him, really.
Yeah, we're on the same page with that. Again, a team that is probably on the last couple of years of their window here, with Baker being relatively cheap, with a lot of the other players, like the Todd Bowles situation. I honestly thought there was a chance he got fired this year, might get fired next year. Like, they kind of need to push their chips in the middle of the table and get a guy who is older but could contribute right away, which is the pro and con there. At pick 19, the team that did win the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers, we had them going with Dylan Thieneman, the safety out of Oregon. Kind of like Miami, this was a team. They're kind of the Dolphins. I came up with this a little bit ago, and I wanted to shout this at you to see what you think. The Panthers are like the same team as Miami, but they're just better in they're slightly better in every area. Like, their Alabama quarterback is a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have good players, and they don't have any great players. They don't have a hole per se, but they're not great anywhere. They're also just not horrible anywhere. So this is a team that I was kind of well, they could go with a plethora of different guys. Dylan Thieneman to me makes sense. This is again, we have to call them contenders. They won the NFC South last year. They almost beat the Rams twice in the last 5 weeks of the year. They were this close to beating the Rams twice, which is hilarious.
They did do that. No, I mean, you said the Panthers are and I expected again food, whatever the hell it is you do.
Oh, I got one. I was gonna let you go first.
You actually dropped a football team on me, and I was I'm starting to think we might have a football show on our hands.
Man,
that's crazy.
Just because you said that, as soon as you're done talking, I'm dropping my food analogy.
Yeah, no, of course you are. I expect nothing less. No, I mean, I think it's a good fit. This is a very versatile player, and he's a damn good athlete. Throwing him on a defense, it's really hard to go wrong. It is really difficult to go wrong throwing this guy on your defense. You have a hole right now. You have Nick Scott starting. I mean, you got to get another body back there. Someone who can, if we're throwing around the word contender, if you're trying to contend, this is the type of player that could really add another layer to you as a football team. Do I think he's a world beater? No, but damn, this guy's an athlete. Holy, he's going to make some crazy plays. He's going to have probably a crazy interception or two. Just going from the left deep half to the right flat and either stripping a ball out or something crazy. This guy, athlete. You throw that around, he's an athlete, man.
Well, and I thought the real strength of the Panthers' defense last year, especially down the stretch, was their corner play. And in free agency, they addressed their defensive line. They got Jalen Phillips, and they got their linebacking core with Devin Lloyd. They signed two of the premier defensive free agents. Now in the draft, if you add a guy like Dylan Thieneman, you're making improvements to all three levels of your defense, as well with pairing obviously the strength of the defense, which is I think their corners. So I think safety does make sense for them. Going to pick 20 with the Dallas Cowboys, another team that we really pondered. Hey, are they going to trade down? But the problem with them trading down is we needed a team to trade up. And the premier players in this draft, when you start getting to kind of this range of the draft where we're at,
There are
we're really
guys.
talking about players that are like second round evals that are going to go in the first round because of this draft.
Not right now though, and that's why we
In this
contemplated the
range, in
idea.
this
But
range,
normally around this range, but because of where we are in the draft, there's two names on the board right now that you're like, okay, guys would probably teams would trade up for them.
yes,
Spencer Fano, teams would trade
yeah,
up for in this range, and Jordan Tyson, teams would trade up for. You imagine. The only reason that we didn't do the big trade back was because the Dallas Cowboys need their edge rusher. They don't want to drop back too far.
yeah,
And the teams that we thought were going to look to trade for Fano, it would be too big for a drop. It would be too big of a drop. And in terms of Jordan Tyson, they could have made it happen, but I think they'd rather just go ahead, take their edge rusher, make sure that they're able to go ahead and get him. We had them go with Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. You went away from Micah Parsons and claimed, we know the real reason, but they claimed it was because he can't defend the run well. Keldrick Falk will defend the run for you. It's just he won't really do the other thing right now. Can you develop him to do the other thing? That's what becomes a little bit more of the story. He's a developmental pass rusher who right now is an incredible run defender. That is where most people would stand with Keldrick Falk, and I think the Cowboys could use a guy like that.
yeah. And it's important to remember that he's 20, right? So with a guy like Akeem Estador, like we know the player that he is. We know how he's going to develop. We know his maturation level and his awareness and his recognition. We really don't know a lot of that with Keldrick Falk. Like, he's not even old enough to drink a beer yet. So to make any snap judgments on him prior to the draft and be like, well, he can't do this, he can't do that. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I'm saying like that's a bit premature because again, he hasn't fully matured as a player yet. Keldrick Falk for the Cowboys, it makes a lot of sense. Now, at pick 21, we did end up doing that trade that we just alluded to. We had the San Francisco 49ers trading up from pick 27. In return, the Steelers get pick 21. I'm sorry, the Steelers get pick 27 and pick 92. The 49ers also give up pick 216 in addition to pick 21. And because of that, they were able to take Spencer Fano, the tackle out of Utah. You might be saying, Mike, Patrick, why are the 49ers trading up 6 spots in the draft to take an offensive tackle when they have Trent Williams? Well, the problem is they might not have Trent Williams for much longer. His cap hit and his contract situation seems to be, I wouldn't say it's getting nasty, but it's getting there. It seems like it's getting to that personal stage. So there's a high likelihood that he either is cut or traded or released or retires or whatever. Regardless, he may not be suiting up for the San Francisco 49ers next year, and that's a big problem, especially considering all of the good defensive linemen that are in the NFC West. Seattle's got about 10 of them, and the Rams are no slouches in that department either. So if they want to be competitive in the NFC West, they're going to have somebody that needs to block for Brock Purdy. That's a tongue twister. Try to say that 5 times fast. Spencer Fano is clearly the top tackle on the draft, and I would argue that after him, it potentially gets, I don't want to say the fault. Let me back up. I would say the floor is a lot lower for the rest of these other guys. His floor is higher than some of these other guys remaining. You could argue the ceiling's higher for a guy that we'll talk about later, but this is the safest tackle left on the board by far, and I think the 49ers don't pass up the opportunity to make sure they have a succession plan for Trent Williams in place.
I also just think Fano is a great fit in an outside zone heavy scheme. This is such a good mover. Like, he's an elite mover, elite in space. You want to add a guy like that. And let's say, okay, Trent Williams plays, right? And you don't want to move Fano to right tackle because you like McKivitz. Well, you move Fano into left guard. Put him in instead of Rob Jones. You feel good about that. All of a sudden, your offensive line's looking pretty good. I mean, I do think Trent Williams is quietly getting a lot worse by the year. But Fano could play guard for you and do a good job. Again, in an outside zone heavy scheme, this guy's going to get in people's way. He's a really good mover on the offensive line, and that's why you bring him in. In an outside zone heavy scheme, it's a damn near perfect scheme fit. I love the idea of the 49ers taking a guy like Fano, and I hope they trade up in order to take him because it'd be perfect in terms of
Now we talked about the possibility that Trent Williams is not on the 49ers next year. The other thing to consider, man, he's 38. He's 38.
Yeah.
Like, you need a guy who, regardless of if he's there or not, you need a guy who's going to be their succession plan. I agree. I think they trade up. Now, if you're Jim Harbaugh, you have to be just absolutely peeing in your khakis to know that Jordan Tyson is available at pick 22. They take him. I know they've spent a lot of capital on wide receiver in recent years, most notably with Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston. And if your argument for not taking Jordan Tyson is that they have Quentin Johnston, I would tell you to watch football. Quentin Johnston is not a receiver that you. It's not a receiver that makes you pass up on other better receivers. Like, I'm sorry. Well, he was good in fantasy last year. Okay, I don't care. Sorry. I've never really been on the Quentin Johnston trade. When whoever it was that called him Randy Moss before the draft, you should get your freedom of watching football revoked. That was a travesty to the community of the sport I love dearly. But no, Jordan Tyson, again, people can have him as high as wide receiver 1. There is an injury history. There is obviously a red flag and an inherent risk with that. But the Chargers, they need weapons for sure. If their offensive line could stay healthy, I think their offense would actually be really good next year. The problem is they just lost both of their tackles. It's the most Chargers thing ever. I know Jim Harbaugh is notoriously not a guy that takes receivers this high, but with the board falling the way it does, I don't think he has a choice. I don't think there is an offensive lineman he could take unless he really wants Cade Proctor to run like the wing T offense. But I wouldn't put it past Jim Harbaugh, but I really do think Jordan Tyson would be the move here.
Also, this is now the Mike McDaniel offense, right? And McDaniel, I fear Quentin Johnston is going to be a McDaniel guy. But Keenan Allen is not going to find a consistent role in a McDaniel offense. I just can't imagine it. Doesn't have anywhere near the speed that McDaniel normally looks for. Now, Jordan Tyson isn't a burner, but he is a guy who has the route running prowess that you like in Keenan Allen, while also having a decent amount of speed to him. All of a sudden, that receiver core, it is able to bring out the best in Justin Herbert. And let's say, okay, you're worried about the injury history. Jordan Tyson's battling injuries all the time. Okay, then you just have a really good, you still feel good about your trio. Because then Keenan Allen comes in as the wide receiver 4, right? Now the wide receiver 3, and things still work perfectly fine. Like, I know it's probably going to be a run-first offense because Harbaugh, but you need the established wide receiver 1, and even though they have some nice players, they don't have the 1, and Jordan Tyson could play that role for them. So I think just look at how the board falls. You feel good about that. Now, pick 23, we decided to go offensive tackle here. We went with a guy I really like in Max Ianachor, coming out of Arizona State. Someone who hasn't been playing the sport really long, hasn't been playing offensive line very long, but he has gradually improved year by year, looking a lot better by the year. And he has so much athleticism. He has the strength. He has everything you would look for. And I don't think his film is that bad. Like, he's a raw player, quote unquote, but he's not like that raw. Like, you would think he would be much worse. Like, the film actually looks pretty good. I love Ianachor, really.
Yeah, no, I think that this is a good pick for multiple reasons. Number one, I know he's not there anymore, but the Eagles have been really, really good at developing offensive linemen throughout the years. Like, I would argue the best organization in doing so.
Now, he you're talking about is Jeff Stoutland, and he's probably the best offensive line coach ever. I don't know if I would just throw that to the side. That's not just
no, it's not. No, I'm not throwing it to the side, but I'm saying with him, without him, I'm sure they're still going to do a good job. Not as good, obviously, without the GOAT of Offensive Lineman University, or the professor of Offensive Lineman University, excuse me. The other reason I really like this is because I don't think he needs to start day one. Like, Lane Johnson, I think, is, probably in his last couple of years. Obviously, their left tackle, Jordan Mailata, is phenomenal. I think that this is the Lane Johnson succession plan. I do. I don't think that he needs to be a high-impact guy year one. And like you said, he hasn't been playing football for very long. So year one would give him a great opportunity to sit back, learn, develop with this Eagles organization who, like I said, with Jeff Stoutland, yes, but has pumped out a lot of great offensive linemen throughout the years. So I think that that's a great pick when you brought that up. Pick 24, Cleveland, via the Travis Hunter trade, who, by the way, is now only going to play corner. I don't know if you saw that, but that's interesting. Maybe you should take a dual position guy, top two. That's just me.
Okay.
We're not opening up the Travis Hunter debate. We'll have that a different day. Yeah,
we have a big mock, and
Yeah,
aren't
yeah,
exactly on schedule right now.
yeah. It's because somebody wants to yap Patrick, but
We both do. It's a
yeah,
you
we do.
problem as much as it's a me issue.
But pick 24, the Cleveland Browns are going to take Denzel Boston, wide receiver from Washington. No relation to Dave Boston, the old receiver in the NFL. For those of you who know ball, I thought that for quite a few months, but no, they did not. The Browns, there was really a one simple reason that we made this pick. The Browns' current wide receiver one is Jerry Jeudy. Is anybody going to disagree with this pick? Okay, I didn't think so. Let's move on. No, I'm just kidding. But that is really like the main concern.
The
There
question becomes
was
why Boston?
Yeah, the question becomes why Boston. Stylistically, he's different than Jerry Jeudy, and I think a guy like Casey Concepcion is at least similar to what Jerry Jeudy is. So I think you want to expand your horizons a little bit. Also, we talked about Todd Monken in the beginning having his preference. This is, like you mentioned in our text, this is the same guy who brought in DeAndre Hopkins into Baltimore to be like that 50-50 guy. Clearly has a knack for stuff like that. So I think that it's not a pick that I would love if I was a Cleveland Browns fan, but I do think that this is a direction that the Browns are going to want to go in.
The issue is that Denzel Boston kind of, sort of isn't worth this capital. But, I mean, you need to take the issue a little bit becomes like, okay, if you're a team that's where the Browns are, should you really be reaching on guys or should you just wait until next year and draft that receiver that actually is worth the capital you have? Because you're going to be in a rebuild for a little bit of time. Reaching on guys is not going to help you get out of it. So I don't like it, but I definitely see the Browns doing it. Todd Monken isn't exactly smart. He's the same guy that expected DeAndre Hopkins to be like a big contributor for the Ravens last year. So, yeah, I think he's going to go with another big body possession receiver and hope he could complement him better than a guy like me expects him to.
Moving on to pick 25, we have the Chicago Bears. This is the latest they've picked, probably for the majority of my lifetime, with the exception of like the 2006 year they went to the Super Bowl. I feel very strongly that they would go with Caden McDonald here, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State. I liked this pick a week ago. I love this pick after what Dan said about him and what the kind of player he is going forward. The Bears have a desperate need across their entire defensive line, but specifically on their interior of their defensive line. I think this is a guy who could play the run well, which the Bears could not. I think this is a guy that could rush the passer, which the Bears could not. If in a great world where they get a guy like Shamar Turner back, who they took in the second round, as well as Montez Sweat playing like the player that they paid him to be, this Bears defensive line could go from horrible to acceptable, and that would be a huge, huge boost for the Bears. I think Caden McDonald is an excellent pick here for Chicago at pick 25.
The draft just has so many strong run defending defensive tackles this year. It is a nice year to be a Chicago Bears fan because that's a big need for them. If they can't get it here, and they will be able to get it here because there's not many defensive tackles being mocked in round one. They're all supposed to go around this area. But let's say they choose to go another direction. They could still get a guy in round two they feel pretty good about. But I agree. You have the ability to pick your top defensive tackle. Why not go ahead and do it? I'm with you. I love the idea of adding Caden McDonald. As for pick 26, we have a guy who, honestly, a really nice deal here. You now have Jim Leonard as your defensive coordinator, right? The defensive passing game coordinator from Denver. Well, if you want to run that type of defense, you need a guy to be your Pat Surtain. You need a guy that could go man coverage on anyone, right? And feel confident and do a good job. Avion Terrell fits that bill. And oh boy, did he fall further than I would expect him to. But he is a player that not every team would love, but if you want to play a more aggressive defense like this, there's not many other guys that fit the bill. I know they just drafted Maxwell Harrison last year, but Harrison sadly kind of becomes an afterthought now that we're in the post-McDermott defensive era for the Buffalo Bills. Completely different scheme. Expected to be ran. We don't really know yet. Now it's going to be more of a 3-4. It's going to be a very different defensive unit. And I think a guy like Avion Terrell is just so key to run that type of system with all the tight man coverage that they want to do.
Yeah, I have no quarrels with Avion Terrell as a player. I did bring up the concern about, hey, they did take Maxwell Harrison last year, so I don't know if they'll double back with corner again. You mentioned that it's not Sean McDermott making the call, so maybe he just really wanted Maxwell Harrison and Keon Coleman, and he's really just the villain in this Buffalo Bills story, and Brandon Beat is
really
the
that
knight in shining armor that's going to save him with Avion Terrell. But again, that would be my main gripe with this, but that to the side, this is a really good player. And again, taking a guy like this at pick 27 would be phenomenal. Now moving on to pick 27, which was first inhabited by the San Francisco 49ers, but now goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh boy, we got something interesting. I think they go with Ty Simpson. I really do think they are the Ty Simpson team. Let me tell you why I believe that Pittsburgh is. Number one, if they're able to trade back, that lessens the risk of taking Ty Simpson. Now you're taking him at 27 versus pick 21. That matters. In our simulation, we netted them also pick 92, so basically like what a late third rounder for this. So if you add a third rounder and if you move back 6 spots, the risk in taking Ty Simpson goes down significantly. I also think taking a player like Ty Simpson, specifically a quarterback, you want that 5th-year option. Like, because if Ty Simpson is the guy, if he is a capable player, if he is your franchise quarterback, that 5th year is going to pay massive, massive dividends on that 5th-year option. That's why I do think that Ty Simpson sneaks into the first round. I think the Steelers are the team that takes him because, as of right now, the only quarterback that they have on the roster is Will Howard, who barely, if at all, played last year.
They also
Ty
have
Simpson.
Mason Rudolph. That's big.
So I think they take Ty Simpson. That's because,
well, but
yeah.
Here's the thing, right? And this is actually what dictates whether or not they take him. Is Aaron Rodgers the Steelers' genuine plan at receiver? Because if he is, it's not like they could just have Ty Simpson on the bench. Aaron Rodgers won't allow it. It just can't happen.
Well, Aaron Rodgers won MVP when the Packers took Jordan Love. Yeah, so maybe they're playing 4D chess here.
And that's better for the Green Bay Packers. But Aaron Rodgers would rather retire than have that happen again. If anything, Rodgers would go to the Cardinals and, play ahead of Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Brissett in that situation. If they draft Ty Simpson.
Which that should be even more reason to draft Ty Simpson.
That'd be really fun. That would be. I just thought about that. This is quietly my draft wish now.
Now, what if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Colts or something and just plays for Daniel Jones as he's coming off the Achilles?
Too close of a quarterback competition. He can't do ayahuasca and show up to all the practices that way.
Yeah, they don't got ayahuasca in Indiana, so he's gonna have to.
Exactly. To Arizona, completely different game. That's where Breaking Bad happened. Surely they have the goods.
Breaking Bad was in New Mexico, I thought.
Yeah, that's right there. That's right there. It's like right near there. You know what I mean? Like it's the same area.
Are you making the Four Corner States argument? Is that? There's just Walter
is
White's
it not actually right there? I don't know geography. I'm not gonna lie.
This is our education system, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens.
First,
you thought Albuquerque was in Arizona.
No, I didn't say it was in. I thought
they border each other for sure.
Oh, so yeah. What you made me? Really
hold on.
Bad for
you never in 5th grade choir did the 50 States song. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas. You never did that.
I didn't get shoved in lockers growing up. No.
Okay.
I did not. I was not.
See, that was just that was personal and unnecessary. Thanks for that, man.
No,
He's like, yeah, man. Nobody gave me swirlies growing up. I was too cool for that. Damn. Appreciate you, Patrick. Anyways, let's move on to pick 28, which is the swirly equivalent of a player. Houston, I'm so sorry, my friends. We do this to you every time, and we just can't find an alternative. You're taking Caden Proctor, and you're going to like it. You're going to like it, and the main reason is because beggars cannot be choosers, okay? You cannot sit here and say, we don't like Caden Proctor, we don't think he's a great tackle.
Lemieux's on the board. There's other offensive linemen that exist.
No.
There's probably at least three tight ends. Probably at least 3 tight ends.
You can't take Caleb Lemieux that
offensive tackle.
You can squint your eyes.
This guy.
You can squint your eyes.
Offensive lineman I've ever seen.
Can you? He's not the worst offensive lineman.
No, I know. I'm exaggerating. It's literally if you take him,
there's a good player in there somewhere.
No, there isn't.
There's a good player in there somewhere. He hasn't showed himself in a long time, but there's if you really look, there's a good player in there.
Do you still have faith in Evan Neal? Do you still have faith in Daniel Falele?
I don't have faith in either. I never liked either one of those guys.
So why do you like Caleb Proctor?
I've seen. Okay, if we're equating offensive lineman development to a forest fire, I've seen the sparks to start a bonfire. I've seen the stick ignite a little bit, and I'm like, come on, and then it gets wet.
I've seen that with Evan Neal. I've seen that with Daniel Falele. I've seen that with a lot of terrible offensive linemen. I've seen that.
There's other offensive linemen that started off bad and then became respectable. How about this for a historical example? How about the incredible Bulk? Tony Mandarich, the guy taken second overall in the 1989 draft, the only guy in the top 5, not a Hall of Famer. He was a huge bust, and then later in his career, he went to Indianapolis and was a solid guard. That's the Caden Proctor.
I genuinely thought Tony Mandarich was out of the league in 3 years. So you just gave me some new ball knowledge. I appreciate that.
And you say I don't know ball. So you say I don't know ball. Yeah. No, he was in Indy during Peyton Manning's rookie year, and he became, I wouldn't say above average, but he became a playable guard in the NFL.
Can I explain the difference, though? Can I explain the difference?
Go ahead. No, I'm just making an analogy.
I don't really know Tony Mandarich's college film, but I bet there were
He was on steroids. That's the college film. He was on steroids.
You're right. He is the Barry Bonds of college.
No, Barry Bonds was good. Barry Bonds was good on and off steroids. Tony Mandarich was
I didn't know that.
Dude, Barry Bonds, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Completely separate topic. I can't get sidetracked.
Once again, thought it was a matter of was on steroids and then just banned.
I'll give you a guy Miguel Sano. He was good for like 1 year. That's the equivalent you're looking for.
Miguel Sano. I would take Miguel Sano to be an offensive tackle currently before I.
Yeah, you probably could actually. Yeah, you probably could. Houston's taking Miguel Sano at pick 28. Okay, we got that squared away.
No, Caden Proctor sucks. I'm sorry, Texans fans. I'm sorry we have cursed you.
But
with this eternally.
Who else do they have? They have nobody.
I would genuinely take everyone else on that team. I would take everyone else currently on that team. I think everyone else on that team is going to have a better future. I think that any other tackle in this class, I mean, he sucks. He's terrible. I don't care that he's big. This is Evan Neal again. We can't do this every 3 years. There's
Evan Neal is a
top Alabama guy. Yeah, he was a top 5 pick. How'd that go?
Well, I'm saying he was a top 5 pick. That's a lot more disappointing than being the 28th pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the only reason that he's the 28th pick is because we hopefully learned from Evan Neal being bad. Everything that was bad about Evan Neal is even worse with Caden Proctor. But everything that's good about him is just as good with Caden Proctor. Do you see how big he is, man? It's awesome. Who cares that he can't move?
But what you're not considering is that he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school.
Wait, what I'm not considering is that he's big. I didn't think about that. Damn.
Yeah. Anyways, we can
Never mind. Houston's winning the Super Bowl with him at left tackle.
Dude, when he goes on the Andrew Whitworth career arc, I'm gonna archive this video in 20 years' time when he's giving his Canton speech.
When he goes on the Isaiah Wilson career arc, I'm just gonna forget that he exists because he's terrible.
All right, pick 29, Kansas City, who they got from the Rams in the Trent McDuffie trade. They replace one corner with another corner. They go with Colton Hood out of Tennessee. Now, personally, I thought that this was a bit too high for Colton Hood to go in the draft. However, they do have a need at corner. They also have been very good at developing corners, so maybe this is a pick that, yes, it's a little bit above consensus, but this is a guy they feel they can develop, be a good contributor to their team. I pushed back initially, but I ended up relenting because I do think that this is probably a Kansas City move right here.
This might be above your consensus, but the general consensus has him consistently going in this area.
I've seen top of the second round. I think I've seen him in the low 30s, which I guess pick 29 is not too different from, but
now it becomes a question of, is that deserved? Does he belong here? Yeah, I think the reason we're kind of forgetting about this guy is just because it's such a good corner class, it's such a good DB class. But Colton Hood, man, he did a good job as the corner one when Jermon McCoy missed time. He was very strong. He was able to play man coverage well. He was able to play the ball. Overall, this guy's a good corner, and they need to go corner now that they traded away Trent McDuffie. They need their new corner, and I don't see why Colton Hood can't be that. I think that's, in my opinion, kind of an easy one for them.
Yep, and then at pick 30, we have the Miami Dolphins doing the same thing, getting the pick they traded for, or getting, a pick they traded a player for and replacing him with the same position. Miami Dolphins taking Casey Concepcion, the receiver out of Texas A&M. Kind of very similar style-wise to Jalen Waddle, although Jalen Waddle is an absolute burner. Casey Concepcion is not that fast, but if you're talking about a quicker, twitchier kind of guy, that is Casey Concepcion. I don't know that the Miami Dolphins necessarily have any wrong choices here. I think, like I said, they're in worst team in the league contention watch, and so pretty much any position they could address, I would agree with. But with all of the kind of good tackles and defensive ends gone, they probably do go with receiver, a guy to replace Jalen Waddle, and a guy who could provide a lot of that same explosivity, which is a word I looked it up You were wrong a couple weeks ago.
Did I say it wasn't? That
You
doesn't
said,
sound
I
like.
think it was very smug. You were like, I don't think it is. I'm not sure that's a word, and I looked it up. So that full, not to
This
flex the full
doesn't
sail
sound
education,
correct.
but
I
it's
think
there.
this is revisionist history. I'm pretty sure I. No. I think. I never. I don't think I ever thought that wasn't a word. I don't. I think you're kind of. I think you're
You're
toying with
lucky
me.
that I'm too lazy to go back and figure out what episode we talked about it.
I think
and
you're gaslighting me. I'll
find
go
it, but
through every hour of content.
you are not. I'm not being gaslighted by a
All
gaslighter.
right.
But please tell me what you think about Casey Concepcion.
No, I mean he's a talented, speedy receiver. They don't have Mike McDonald anymore, so sadly they won't like do the stupid speedy receiver stuff that they normally do. I can't wait to see the Malik Willis absolute beauties of deep balls to him. Overall, though, Casey Concepcion, like he has a lot of the skills that you want to see. He's a good route runner. He has that game-breaking speed that you like to see. He doesn't have the most wide route tree, which is kind of annoying. Like we're at that point with the receiver class where, yeah, this team needs a wide receiver one. Sadly, they're probably not getting a wide receiver one where they are. I like Casey Concepcion. He's going to make some big plays. He's probably not going to be a true one for them, sadly. And that's
He
going to put
reminds
my
me a little
boy
bit of
Malik
Wandale
Willis.
Robinson. Like that would probably be my
You
current.
say that? Is that where you lean?
Because like people are saying, oh, it comes Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is more explosive of an athlete.
Well, I would just say like Wandale Robinson isn't really the deep
Probably
threat
better
he is.
hands on
I
Wandale
would say
Robinson.
he's more of like Broncos Emmanuel Sanders. Or honestly, just in general, Emmanuel Sanders.
Let's hope he doesn't get laid out like Broncos Emmanuel Sanders does. Emmanuel Sanders had a great career with the Broncos, and everybody's going to remember him for being on Hardest Hits compilation by getting absolutely creamed against the rim.
He played in that era where that's kind of just what happens when you're running.
Can't be
deep
touched,
down the
can't
middle.
be right, can't. Then it's just like dudes just getting their like Red. You remember that Reggie Bush play against the Eagles? He just gets decapitated.
Oh yeah, oh my
yeah,
lord.
Come on, that's what we grew up on, dude. Boys sleepover, we'd be playing Halo and watch. Yeah, it was good times.
Huge.
At pick 31, we have another trade, our last trade of the first round. I know we couldn't do without one more trade. The Philadelphia Eagles are moving back into the first round again. I think because of that fifth-year option, it's so valuable for positions like the one we're about to mention. And what do they give up in return? AJ Brown. AJ Brown is going to the Patriots now. How I say, there's been a lot of reporting. How ethical that reporting's been, I guess, has been in the news these last couple weeks. So we're not a gossip channel. We're not gonna fully divulge into that. We'll get into that maybe when the details come out. But it seems like the Eagles and Patriots are kind of flirting with each other a little bit. And that wasn't a purposeful choice of words. They're flirting with each other a little bit. Maybe AJ Brown does end up going to the Patriots. I do think he gets traded. That article that came out that was kind of dragging Jalen Hurts. I know you talked about it. That was the episode I wasn't on where you absolutely dogged me in the first 5 minutes. But my theory on that is that they're trying to Howie Roseman is trying to accrue more goodwill for A.J. Brown throughout the league so that his value stays high. And then once they trade him, they're going to be like, well, Jalen's our guy. We rock with Jalen, yada, yada, yada. I think they're playing the media game here. I have a media degree. I feel like I could speak on this. But I do think that A.J. Brown is going to be dealt during the draft. I think he's going to New England. I think in return, they get back pick 31. And with pick 31, they take Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. This is a guy who is one of the best pure pass rushers in this draft. He's lighter, he's faster. Think more of a Nolan Smith type of build as opposed to some of their other defensive ends they've had over the years. A guy that could really get after it. I wouldn't say that he's a great run defender. Did make a lot of explosive plays in the running game, however. I think, again, an edge rusher on a fifth-year option is going to be very valuable if he's good. And I think that the Eagles love to stockpile defensive linemen, so I could see them making a move for a guy like Cassius Howell.
The issue is now, like, if they trade away A.J. Brown, all of a sudden they're working with the island of misfit receivers. Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks, Elijah Moore. Surely one of them could establish themselves as a fine two next to Devonta Smith, right? Like, I guess that's what you're banking on.
Yeah, I think Wicks is going to be that guy. I think they love
Wicks. I
agree.
I think I would be Wicks.
And I've gone back and forth on Wicks. I think I'm probably more pro Wicks than consensus, but at the same time, he's been disappointing in Green Bay. But they clearly traded for him with the intention of, hey, this guy's going to be a wide receiver 2 in the near future. I think that tells you that AJ Brown.
Quietly, AJ Brown or Elijah Moore. Quietly, I'm a big Elijah Moore guy. Also, Shawan Jennings is still available. So they
Oh,
could
stop it
do
right now.
that.
Stop it
Oh,
right now.
what
The
do you mean
curl
stop
routes,
it?
the hitch routes from Jalen Hurts to Juwan Jennings is going to be enough to feed families.
Exactly.
That's gonna go
That's
crazy, man.
That's like kind of a perfect fit.
It's the greatest 4-yard completion you've ever seen in your life on 3rd and 12, dude.
And you're gonna
And you're gonna
Hey,
love it.
no, we're not working with Patullo anymore. Have some optimism, man.
Maybe the article said it was Jalen Hurts that loved throwing the hitch routes, so maybe it was. Maybe Kevin Patula is Bill Walsh, and we'll never know because Jalen Hurts sabotaged him. That's my theory. Anyways, though, we have to conclude the draft.
Insulting thing anyone's ever said about Bill Walsh.
Yeah, you're right. I apologize, Bill Walsh.
Seahawks fan speaking out of line. Oh
yeah, my fault. My apologies.
Right.
But
just talk about your pipe dream for your birds.
Yeah, no, I don't know that this is a pipe dream, not to brag, but when you win the Super Bowl, you don't have a whole lot of needs. But I look at the positions that Seattle lost in the draft and what they could do to replace those positions. People have said that they're going to take Jadarian Price at pick 32, go to hell. They've also said that they're going to take a safety, which I could see. But I think Brandon Sisse out of South Carolina is a adequate replacement for Reek Woolen, who coincidentally just went to the team we were just talking about in Philadelphia. I think that Mike McDonald doesn't, Pete Carroll loved the tall corners with super long arms. That was his prototype. That was what he patented for years, and then a lot of teams followed him. I don't know that Mike McDonald has that same affection for players in that same build. I think he could just take a player that's good and say, you know what, you're good. I'm going to make you fine. I think Pons is like a touch too small for me to feel comfortable taking in the first round, or else I probably would have picked him here. But corner's a position that A, you can never have enough of, and B, obviously with Reek Woolen, they're losing a lot of snaps there. And I think this is a really good play. Hey, the last time they took a DB from South Carolina worked out pretty well. So I think that this is a pick for Seattle. But again, there's really not a whole lot of needs on this team. They're just trying to probably supplement some of those positions they lost in free agency, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's valid for them to kind of go BPA, but I also think Woolen is he's the big loss. You have to replace him somehow. You want to see him add to the defensive line because it's just fun to see them keep working that rotation, and guys are going to slowly start leaving. But you don't have to worry about that too much yet. I think right now, yeah, you go corner and you replace Woolen. I think now's the best time to do it.
Well, that's going to do it, guys, for our mock draft. Like I said, probably maybe could be our last one before the actual draft where we will be going live. But that's going to do it. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.